And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, hope you enjoyed that lovely brutal OSC as we have returned. We have returned with our second half of the broadcast. We have two matches remaining here, two best of fives, a ZvT and this ZvP. We're going to be featuring two Korean players duking it out, Solar and ReBellioN. And as a reminder, this is the lower bracket of the OSC Season 12 Championship, which means there is no safety net here. There is no other bracket behind this. There is no lower bracket here to fall back on. It is an elimination match. Oh boy, the winner will advance on. The loser is out of the tournament. And we are jumping into our fresh best of five. Let's go. Our fresh best of five game one is going to be on Amygdala. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg. Representing Team Falcons, it is Solar. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, also from South Korea, it is ReBellioN. Here we go. As again, Solar, he did take a bit of a break from StarCraft coming into the end of December, coming into January as well. Did take a bit of a step back, but now he has returned. And Solar, he's still kind of, getting his footing once again. We, of course, did feature Solar earlier this morning. And again, this is a matchup that he has been struggling a little bit more in. What I will say, though, is that ReBellioN is a very unique player. He's very unique. He does often come up with his own builds, his own play styles. He's not the most standard of players here, so I do favor Solar coming into this. I do still favor him, despite his struggles in this matchup. He should still be the favored player. Really, my eyes are on ReBellioN to see how he does try to mix things up and how he does approach a player of the caliber of Solar. Let's go. For those that may be unfamiliar, ReBellioN, he's been around for a very long time. I want to say since around maybe 2014-ish era of StarCraft. So over 10 years. ReBellioN, he used to go by a different ID back in the day. He used to go by Gyelzing. So you might be a little bit more familiar with him. Gyelzing, of course, he used to be a very, very adamant competitor when it comes to the online tournament scene, online tournament circuit. Back in the day, it used to be, oh god, what was the tournament called? It was Elite Leagues. Yes, he used to play very consistently in Elite Leagues, but not Little League Cup. There was Leifang. That's it. Leifang Cups as well. Back in the day, a lot of online events. You'd go for StarCrafts as well. Zotag Cups. Gyelzing was very active. And he name changed coming into the COVID era of StarCraft. 2019, 2020 is when the name change did occur into ReBellioN, a more kind of friendly, foreigner name instead of Gyelzing. And since then has kind of been around the middle of the pack when it comes to the Korean scene. When I think of ReBellioN, I think of Percival, I think of players like Lunacy, I think of Stephen Curry, I think of Farmy, think of Honmono, Quanta, 3-Point. I mean, there's a plethora of Korean players that are just below the upper echelons. They're the Code A players, if you will. But still very active, very active. And we're going to be opening up Robo. Okay, very interesting. This looks like, oh, never mind. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted. If you remember, I was talking about how typically ReBellioN, he comes up with his own builds, his own unique play styles, typically a little bit more aggressive. Robo opener into a Forge. So with the Robo opener, I was like, oh, maybe we're going for a Twilight Council into a Warp Prism into Archon drop. No, we're going for what looks to be a Soul Train, a +1 timing here, a Massive Immortal into Sentry. Very old school. Very unique, very different. Okay, you have my attention. Now, the Overlord Scout is going to be denied. The Sentry is a big tell that something's wrong. You do not open up Sentry this early on. Not typically. Solar gets supply blocked. And we should soon be seeing a Roach Warren. A safety 4-minute Roach Warren is what we're assuming here from Solar. As he checks, there is no third, there is no expansion. Looking for any kind of Oracle move out. And there it is. It is going to be a 350 timing with the Roach Warren. So very safe timing with the Roach Warren. Very secure. Makes sense considering that, something is clearly wrong. So we need the Roaches. So good read so far out of Solar for now joining up. Likewise, here comes that gateway explosion. And again, this is going to be a vanilla gateway army with +1, with immortals, with sentries. Oh boy. Getting up to 5 gates. I do believe we're going to be able to afford 6. Up to a 6 gate 2 base all in. But now we're up to 5. Ling's still trying to figure out what's going on. He does spot both sentries. That is a tell. Solar getting a second and now a third gas geyser. So 3 gases. Oh, taking extra gases as well. Droning up a little bit harder. It's a little bit risky here, but Solar, he's droning up a little bit more, which is going to work out well just because ReBellion's move out is going to be a little bit later than normal. Because you, of course, have to wait for the upgrades. There we go. The immortals are revealed, and now he knows what's going on. Now Solar is aware. Safety Spore Coil on the way. Ravagers morphing in. We need Lings, we need Roaches, we need Ravagers, we need everything. As ReBellioN moves out, Solar going for a counterattack. Going for a run by. Trying to catch reinforcements, going for the exposed pylon. Meanwhile, Solar does get supply blocked. Pylon goes down. Going for the Adepts. Adept under fire. ReBellioN, he's committed. It's all or nothing for ReBellioN. Either he kills Solar or he dies trying. The game will soon end. Solar, he's got the Concave. He's got the Queens. Has a Spore. The Spine. And ReBellioN just cannot push into this. Not into this setup here. Takes down a sentry. Sentry goes down. Queens, they back up to inject. There is an opening. I'm trying to focus down the spine cooler. While say thrown away. Decent force fields looking down one of the Ravagers. Ravager does fall. It's a good pickup here, but time is working against ReBellioN as more Roaches and more Lings are amassing. Queens, they push in, going for the warp in. And Solar, he will shut this down. Otherwise, they didn't quite connect. The Immortals, they're putting in a lot of work, but where's the support? Where's the rest of the army? Just Immortals. Yeah, Sentries and Stalkers going down. There's not enough here to defend. The Queens do fall. There's no anti-air, but ReBellioN is out of steam. He's out of steam, he's out of army. Down to only 2 Immortals. Controlling well. Being as annoying as possible. Again, there's no Queens, there's no anti-air, so the Prism is fine. But there's no expansion. There's still no third base from ReBellioN. Reinforcing back at home. As Soul is now getting to his lair. Joining up, getting to a lair. Then working on roach speed, and soon a counterattack. This Prism just being so annoying. And you see ReBellioN just gearing up towards a second all-in. But, I mean, again, the time has kind of come and gone at this point. Unless Solar is overly greedy, true, unless Solar makes mistakes, which is what ReBellioN is hoping for. He's hoping for some mistakes. He's hoping for a slip-up. As Solar, he was able to squeeze out extra workers, getting up to almost 3 base saturation. Breaking out of that supply block. And here comes the push. And Solar does spot it. That's a lot of slow lots. That's a lot of slots moving out. Lings, they come in for a counterattack at the same time. There is a cannon, but the wall is wide open. The wall's not a wall. It's not a wall. Lings, they flood in. They head towards the mineral lines, towards the main. We do have a defensive warp in. Boys are being pulled. Probes are going down. And brutal losses here. Leading out some workers. 7 probe kills in total. Lings are cleaned up. Here comes the push. Now, with this many Zealots, can ReBellioN pull this off? I mean, Soul's almost maxed. He's almost maxed out. It's crazy. Is that 186 supply? I mean, it's inflated supply with Roach Ravager, but still. Wow, so they didn't quite connect. Well, Zealots are still being dealt with here by the concave of Roach Ravager. Zealots, they crumble. And now here comes Solar. We're going to dive on that main army. While this time they connect. They take down the sentries. Sentries going down. GG gets called. And Solar, he will hold. He will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Solar will take a lead in the series. Again, a crazy build out of ReBellioN, essentially just going for an early like Soul Train-esque all-in, going Sentry Immortal with, you know, getting no upgrades behind it outside of +1. It can hit quite hard, but as we did try to point out, Solar was playing very safe. Remember, he had gone for an early Roach Warren. Once he realized that something was wrong, he did cut worker production. He only got 3 gases. He did join up a little bit more towards the end just because he realized he could get away with it, but overall a very solid defense there from Solar, and the pressure is now on ReBellioN to bounce back. We'll see if he can. See if he can, as game 2 is going to be on Ley Lines. Let's go. And I'm just excited. I'm just ready for another wild build. That's what I'm expecting out of ReBellioN. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ley Lines. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons, leading the series 1-0. It is Solar. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player, also from South Korea, down in the series, but it's the best of 5. Plenty more games ahead of us. It is ReBellioN. We go. As we are setting up on the low ground. Interesting location for the pylon, of course. But Solar, he isn't really one to all-in himself. He isn't really one to be overly aggressive. We have seen like 2 or 3 base all-ins out of Solar, that is true, but we don't expect like a pull first, or a gas first, or a hatch block. That is typically, you know, relegated to players like Dark, or like Shin, or Rogue, not Solar. Not that kind of player. With that, we're settling in. ReBellioN will confirm the timing of the hatchery. We'll confirm the standard opener. And our eyes, they have to be on ReBellioN here. So far, just gate expands. But what is the take of choice going to be? Like, clearly after that first game, we could see anything. It could be a Twilight Council, Stargate, or a Robo. So the mid game is going to be where all that deviation does lie. Until then, welcome one all to Ley Lines. Ley Lines is going to be one of the smaller maps in the map pool here. I'm going to say smaller map. It is larger than Whispers of Gold, for example, I believe larger than El Dorado, but outside of that is a little bit smaller, comparable to Ultra Love. Because of that, aggression can work here, at least more so than Amygdala, which is where we just spawned in. And we'll see who's the first to be the aggressor. Oh, as we're going for the Stargate. Okay, for the first time this series, Stargate opener at ReBellioN. Something more standard, getting into an Oracle or a Void Ray, of course, getting into a third base. That's something to bear in mind, is that we do have the potential for a Void Ray instead, to try to hide some tech. Considering the kind of player that ReBellioN is, I mean, there's a chance that we could be seeing that here as well. We shall see. ReBellioN does threaten the shade, dipping in between the bases, keeping tabs on Solar. Solar just happily joining, pulling out of gas, getting link speed. Stargate is done, and there it is, Void Ray first. Whew. So again, good thing we mentioned it, but ReBellioN, he just feels like that kind of player here. So Void Ray opener, the goal is to hunt down the Overlords, and keep Solar in the dark. From here, ReBellioN has options. He could go into an earlier Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts. He can go for an earlier Robo and go into a bit of an Archon drop follow-up. He can go into a Fleet Beacon, into a Tempest Rush, or he could even just get a third. He can just get a third base and get into a macro standard game from here. See where we're headed. Overlord goes down. Lings poking in. There's the third. So far, so good. Ooh, okay, so it's going to be a third base and immediately Twilight Council. Now, this could be one of two things, and we have seen a rise in popularity of going to early Blink. It is a safer way to approach this and can turn into aggression, don't get me wrong, or we could see Glaive Adepts instead. Based on the fact that it's ReBellioN, I'm leaning more towards Glaives, as that's a lot of gates. Jesus. Getting up to 5 gateways already here. Oh my god. So a 5-gate setup. ReBellioN walling up. Moving out with the initial Oracle. As he doesn't quite get all the scouting Overlords. Oracle gets out away, and yep, there it is. Glaive Adepts. So Glaives are in production. It's going to be very committed, very aggressive here by ReBellioN. And we'll see if we can catch Solar off guard. Solar, meanwhile, getting a safety Roach Warren at around the 430 mark. So the Roach Warren is finishing up. Lings, they poke in. They don't really see much yet as they do get into the main. Yeah, big scout here for Solar. He does bust in. He does see the tech. He sees the gateways. He sees the lack of Forge. Likelihood of this being Glaive Adepts is quite high. And probes are going down. Probes are falling. Yeah, it does catch the gas mining workers. Oh my god, getting up to 8 probe kills. 8 workers go down, and now it's going to be on Solar to prepare to receive. Now, with Overlord speed on the way, this almost feels like Solar's getting ready for a counterattack. He will have access to drop Lords to try to go for that push after the initial defense. As things are amassing, Roaches as well. Things they once again get into the mineral line. Probe's going to be going down. And he commits. Does commit off the ramp. No SimCity to wall off. Adepts, they threaten the Shade. Void Ray goes down, the Shade gets cancelled, and the Queens are exposed. He gets one. Does we get one Queen? Not quite getting the other. And not quite. Solar being overwhelmed. He has to evacuate his third base, at least for a moment. Another Queen kill. Oof. Not bad. Getting a couple of Queens, getting one drone so far, going for another Queen as well. Hey, Shade's in. But there's Roaches and Lings waiting for him. To being pulled away. Pretty good damage though. Catching out some of the workers, but he's hoping for more damage. Rallying into the main army. Does rally in. Again, ReBellioN so far is keeping up. Looking down these Adepts. And they just did not trade well enough. Getting to the mineral line. So far getting just only 4 drones. Oh god, that's not enough. That's nowhere near enough. Only 4 workers going down. Solar, he defends, and now it's time to counterattack. You can see here, Roach speed almost done. And he's not droning. He's not droning up this base. We spoke earlier about the Drop Lords. There it is. Drop Lords now also in production, as Overlord speed is already done. And this is a massive counterattack. And ReBellioN back at home, he's trying to get ready for it. Getting to Blink, shield batteries. There is no Robo, no Immortals. Which I would say is a bit of a misstep here, as typically there is a Robo behind Glaive Adepts. To get into Immortal production, without it, it's just purely vanilla Stalkers. Here we go. Solar, he does dive in. Locks down the army, Biles, they will connect. Taking down the shield battery. And ReBellioN just has nothing left here. There's a handful of Stalkers. Blink is not yet done. GG gets called, and Solar will take a 2-0 lead in the series. Ooh. GG. Again, just really crisp play here by Solar to shut down ReBellioN. Again, he was able to recognize something was wrong, something was off, did get a safety roach warren, did confirm the adepts as they were moving out across the map, and as soon as he was able to realize that, again, it was going to be, I mean, even before that, remember, he got a Ling into the main. He got a Ling into the main base, he got a full scout, and as soon as he did, he didn't just get ready with roaches, he got ready with his own Overlord speed as well. He was already preparing and thinking about the Droplord counterattack. It was already on the mind. And he lost 4 drones in the defense. Only 4 workers went down. Crazy. Really solid defense there out of Solar, and this is going to lead us here into Game 3, potentially the final game of the series. The pressure is on. I'm hoping for a back and forth. But we are loading into Game 3. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Frostline, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Red Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, down heavily here in this series. We'll see if we can bounce back and make a series out of this. It is ReBellioN. But again, a big reason as to why Solar was able to shut it down as well as he did was that scout early on. As he was able to slip into the main base, he was able to see all 5 gates and the Twilight Council and the lack of forge as well. He saw everything he needed to. Was able to respond in kind. So a very fortunate setup there by Solar. As we can see, Solar waiting for the probe to leave, and now expands. It does expand, it does take the natural. So far, so good. As the base is being taken, ReBellioN forced up all the boys. I mean, I mentioned earlier that Solar, he doesn't really want to hatch block. I'm going to have to eat my words, though, because he does. Here in Game 3, the hatch block out of Solar will disrupt the opener of ReBellioN. Nicely done. And with that, boys are being pulled. And this will disrupt the economy here of the Protoss. And, of course, delay the Nexus. Nexus is delayed. Oh, we get the Eva Chamber behind this as well. Hatchery into Evo Chamber. Drone is going to be forced out. Oh no! Oh my god, Bailey does not get the block again, thankfully. Whew. And ReBellioN can now expand. Now freely expand. But again, it is late. Solo's already done. Salvaging is natural. Gas seal is denied. It was going for it. Going for it. That's ReBellioN will claim it himself. And after we stumble into the early game and early to mid game, where we headed now, as the 3rd base is going to be delayed. What is our take of choice going to be? That's what I'm getting at. Do we open up Stargate? Do we go for something more drastic and go for a Robo or a Twilight Council? Pressure is on ReBellioN. And we have the answer. We have the answer here. It is going to be a Twilight Council, not a Stargate. Aggressive. Okay, now this could be a couple different things. This could be Glaive Adepts. Could be Glaive Adepts here out of ReBellioN. We'll see if he pulls out a gas and does commit into just 4 workers mining into Glaives. This could be a Dark Shrine for a DT-based opener instead. Or this could even be something more niche, like a crazy charge-based all-in as well, which I wouldn't put it past ReBellioN. Very unorthodox, but I mean, that's ReBellioN for you. Every now and then at least. So show us what you got. As alongside this, still no Robo. Adepts A shaded across the map. A couple of drones going down. Getting up to 4 workers, not bad. 4 drones falling. Adepts being cleaned up. Show us that tech, as that is going to be a delay here. There it is, a Dark Shrine. He stays in gas. Dark Shrine's in production into a Robo, I would imagine as well. But this is a delayed tech structure for ReBellioN. He was distracted by the Adept harass. That will slow him down. Things they poke in. Going to be forced back. It is a 420 timing with that Roach Warren. Relatively safe. So safe Roach Warren timing. Getting towards our Roach production. Meanwhile, oh my god. Remember how I said, like, oh, you know, there's like a quirky build where we could go into charge? There it is. Charge is on the way. It's a 2-base all in. 2-base all in. This is not your typical DT opener into harass, into Archons. No. This is going to be a straight up charged out Archon all in here at ReBellioN. More gateways are on the way. So far, getting up to 4. So a 4-gate setup. From here, we could try to afford an extra round of gateways as well. We'll see. Ooh, as ReBellioN is going to expand. Okay. I mean, he is still very committed here. But not gonna lie, part of me believes that this space is just for show. Overlord Scouts confirms that Arc Shrine and the Researching Twilight Council. Big tell. Big scout for Solar. Forge now being thrown down as a very late Forge by ReBellioN. I'm getting mixed signals. The Forge tells us that most likely ReBellion's actually thinking further ahead, which means this initial charge timing, he might not hit it. He might not hit it at all. So it looks like because of the Scout ReBellioN, he's not too confident in his setup. DT's able to look across the map. There is a Swarm position. Well, Lings, they overwhelm the Adepts. They get a pylon. Archon's now on the way for ReBellioN. But it looks like, yeah, he is trying to saturate that third. He's building up towards a later push. As ReBellioN would not want to hit without +1. Which is why I was surprised to see the Forge. Archon's poking in. So far, not getting much done. This is a stronger start for Solar. He's on proper 3-base saturation. From here, he can take a 4th base. He can max out with Roach Ravager. And Solar looking quite comfortable here. Losing Overlord, but outside of that, he's keeping up. Spire is on the way. That is a way to deal with this War Prism, to deal with the Archon harass. Is for Mass Muta. And Mass Muta can work here. It isn't just the fact that, oh, they can shut down the War Prism, but likewise, there's no Blink, right? There's no Blink Stalkers. There are, speaking of, Blink just now beginning. Okay, so Blink Stalkers are on the horizon. Likewise, there's no Storm. There are Archons, true, but not too many of them. So the anti-air is quite limited for ReBellioN. Very limited anti-air. So there's potential for mutas. Overseer Scouts. Overseer confirms that there's research on the Twilight Council. And that, of course, charge is already done. ReBellioN, he's going to be pushing. He's got his 3 Archons, he's got his 2 Immortals. Alas, Solar has been massing up a massive Roach Ravager army. Solar is getting a Spire, but it's not like he was just purely banking out for mutas. He has a force to work with. I can say poke in. Solar so far keeping up. With rotations, knocking down those force fields, trying to force his way in, trying to, and does get a sentry, but not much more than that. So far, ReBellioN doing a great job at just buying time. Likewise, the on the right hand side, we force a recall. Army does escape. Back across the map, we have mutas in production. Zelsay scout the Spire. Cannons are on the way to prepare for the mutas. But it may not be about the mutas, maybe just be about the Roach Ravager here. So he does respect those Immortals. Has to be careful. He's now just diving in. Zoning back the army. Catching out another Archon. Archon goes down. They're trying to pull up for defense. Mutas have arrived. They knock down the expansion. Continue reeling on 3 bases. And they get even more done. And again, these aren't the worst trades for ReBellioN, but he's just being overwhelmed. There's just a massive army here. Mutas, they collapse on the main army as well. The Immortals are going to fall, and the Stalkers are after. As Solar just snowballs out of control. Shutting everything down. Last Mutas to get behind the mineral line. Immortal count down to 1. Once again, Solar just calming down, building up his army. Drilling up to 80. Getting side defense. And we'll soon go for the second wave, as he's already maxed. Like, it's crazy. he's already maxed out. Aye. And again, this build from ReBellioN was just really quirky. Remember, he like rushed into charge, but I mean, he never made use of it, right? Like even here, we have purely Blink Stalker. We never really made use of the initial charge timing or the initial +1 timing either. More so kind of stumbling our way into this kind of composition, which can survive. But for how much longer? Die. Solar, he has arrived. Pushing forward, no bailing speed. May not need it. I mean, it would help, but may just not need it here. As Solar does force his way forward, bails it well in towards the mineral lines. Up, the reaction. Oof. It does pull away. One probe goes off, or one bailing goes off even, but the probes are not going to survive. Massive connections. Shutting down every single worker here at the natural. Likewise, Stalkers are struggling to hold on as well. Barely keeping up. And GG, well played, gets called, and Solar, he will overwhelm. He will take the series 3-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. Whew. GG, well played, Solar. He will claim the series, will advance on. My condolences to ReBellioN. Again, ReBellioN, he was the underdog coming into the series, and alas, he wasn't quite able to keep up. We had some crazy builds, some crazy all-ins, game after game after game. I do appreciate that out of ReBellioN, but alas, he was unable to really shut down Solar, unable to catch him off guard. Solar playing very safe, and Solar was always on top of scouting. Again, especially in that last in the previous game, with that Link Scout confirming the glaives. It was a big moment for Solar here as well. Able to scout, able to confirm the least aggression was coming his way, and prepare back at home. GG. GG, well played. With that, so that wraps up our third series of the night. We have one best of 5 remaining here. It's going to be a ZvT between Spirit and Young Yakov. Let's go. Let us go.